Hello everyone, welcome back. I hope you're having a positive and productive day so far. I'm Kel with the Planner Owl, and today I'm sharing my updated setup of my budget planner for 2025. I did a walkthrough of my new planner a few months ago, but I finally finished the design and setup of the inside, so everything is ready to go for the new year. I've gotten a lot of emails about my budget bundle inserts and expense tracker, and my 2025 inserts are finally up on the website as a free download in my resource library, so feel free to head over and check those out if you're interested. The last few months have been absolutely crazy with work and hospital visits, so thank you all so much for your patience. As always, I'll be including links to the products I use down below, and please leave me a comment with any questions or topics you'd like for me to include in my next video. Without further ado, let's hop in. So a quick refresher, I did decide to separate my budget from my main agenda. I used to have everything in one, but I really liked the idea of having a dedicated planner strictly for my budget and expenses rather than trying to condense it down to fit in my everyday carry. I combined both for several years and it always felt way too restricting, so a supplemental budget agenda is definitely the best solution for me. I'm using this planner by Mall Paper. It's A5 size and has 20mm gold rings, which gives it a nice slim profile. This is a super affordable agenda. I think I paid less than $30, and it comes in a lot of different colors. I chose green because for a budget planner, it just made sense. So opening it up, this agenda has several credit card pockets, but similar to my everyday carry, I prefer to keep my setups on the simpler side. I like a little decor, but for the most part, most of what's in here has either a motivational purpose or a functional purpose. In the front pockets, I have two journaling cards, both from cloth and paper. This tall one is strictly here to add depth and height. I didn't want to use all of the pockets, so I figured this was a good way to add some color and visual balance to the front. The second card has a great quote from Giorgio Armani that says, "To create something exceptional, your mind must be focused on the smallest detail." And then I also have this little planner card by Gracie Edits that says, "Growth is uncomfortable because you've never been here before." Such a great quote and a great reminder to get out of my comfort zone for 2025, no matter how tough or scary it may be. Behind that, I have a few sticky notes that I use throughout my agenda, and then in the back slip pocket, I have this little bill sheet that I made myself, and this has a comprehensive list of all of my bills for 2025. Here I have a column to list each bill, a column to list if it's one I need to pay or if it's auto-drafted. Because I do have so many bills, most of everything is auto-drafted, except for a few that either fluctuate significantly from month to month or those that I need to pay special attention to. So for example, my water bill one month was like $1,000 when it's normally around $60. They finally reimbursed me, but the whole thing took like 3 months. Ever since then, I just pay that one online each month. The third column is the date it's due, and the fourth is the amount. I did laminate this card specifically for this column so I could use oil-based ink or a wet erase marker. The first 3 columns won't change all that much, but the amount I pay can change a lot depending on the bill. Having it laminated lets me change the amount if I need to without having to reprint, cut, and laminate this each time. I also have a chart listing sinking funds that I pay on a specific date. I'll go through my full list of sinking funds when I get to my budget overview, but I wanted to include those that have a specific pay date and how frequently those are coming out of my accounts on this list as well. Last year, I had my bill list on the back of my cover page, but this year I decided to keep it on a separate card in the front of my agenda. That way I can easily pull it out when I'm planning my budget for the next month or if I need to mark a date or something. I do have a wall calendar that sits above my desk in my office where I list all of my bills as well, but I like having this in my actual physical planner as a reference card. So that's all I keep in the front. Moving on to my rings, my front dashboard is by Cloth and Paper. This is a thin, semi-transparent vellum sanguine dashboard that came in their June sub box, and I thought it looked nice layered over my 2025 budget cover. I also made this myself from some cardstock I picked up at Michael's. I laminated it just in case I wanted to use the back to write anything, but I'll likely use it to hold additional stickies and page flags. And then you have my inbox. This is an old one by Cloth and Paper that I've had for a while, and I use this to list lists upcoming due dates, confirmation numbers, and other things that I may need to refer back to. That's layered over this dashboard that's really only here because I like the look of it as a background to my inbox. And after that, you move into the guts of my planner, which is my budget overview. These dividers are the monthly top tab glass plastic dividers by Cloth and Paper. I'm not really a fan of these. They're really thick and they get scratched super easy, but I purchased them several years ago, and since I haven't found a monthly divider set that I really like, I figure I'll just use these until I do find the ones that I want. So flipping over, these are my budget overview inserts. Each month has 2 pages. The first has a cover page on the front and a sinking fund list and notes on the back. And on the second page, on the front is where you list your income, fixed expenses, and debt. And the back has your variable expenses, savings, and a monthly summary at the bottom. I did make the first columns on this a fillable PDF, so you can change your categories from month to month if you choose to. So looking at my sinking funds first, I have 5 columns total, 1 to list the category, 1 for the amount you started with, 1 for the amount you added to the fund, 1 for the amount you spent, and 1 for the total amount left at the end of the month. If you're not familiar with sinking funds, it's essentially a fund where you can set aside a little money each month for a specific purpose or unexpected expense. They're similar to a savings account, but unlike savings, they usually have a dedicated intention or purpose in the future, where savings accounts are typically used much more broadly. So looking at my sinking fund list, I have 15 total. 6 are funds that I put money into, so when the time inevitably comes that I need to use it, I'll have money there to pull from. So this would be things like car maintenance and Luna's fund. There's not anything specific that I'm saving up for, but there will be a time where I need new brakes or Luna gets sick or something. Those are expensive events, and it helps a lot to have a pool of money set aside for those specific occurrences if and when they happen. Typically, I'll decide what amount each month I'm willing to put back, and that's what I'll budget for, but these amounts do fluctuate sometimes. Like last year, I knew I was going to need new tires sooner rather than later, so instead of the normal $25 a month I put back for maintenance, I started putting back $100 a month instead, so I wouldn't have to worry about having the funds when the time came. The other type are the ones that I have listed on my bill list, and these are those annual or semi-annual purchases with a specific amount, and here I'll just take the total I pay each year, divide it by 11 to get the amount I pay each month, and then once it comes time to pay, I don't have to worry about budgeting for the entire amount coming out of my account that month because I've already put the total of what I pay away. So for example, I pay Amazon Prime every December. Since I paid it in December, for January, I'll start putting back $13.52 each month. In November, I'll have the total $148.72, which I pay in December, and then start the process over again. Using sinking funds has honestly been the single best thing that I've done for my budget. It gives me peace of mind when emergencies or large purchases do come up. And because I'm usually putting back small amounts each month, it doesn't make as much of a dent in my expenses. Below that, I have a place for notes, and this is where I'll write down breakouts to my expenses that I bundle. So for example, on my fixed expenses, I have music and video streaming, but here is where I break out how much each expense is, which helps me keep track of how much each subscription increases in price. I also write upcoming bills and price changes, things I need to pay attention to, and really anything else financial related that's relevant for the month. Moving on to my budget overview, first I have an area where I list my income. I have a column to list what I'm expecting to get paid, what I actually made, and then the difference between the two in the last column. For me, the first row is my salary or my primary income, and the second row is for any other income that I make throughout the month. In the middle is where I list my fixed expenses, and these are all of my expenses that have a set amount that come out of my account each month, no matter what, or what I consider my necessities. These are the expenses that don't change significantly from month to month, so I know when I budget, I can go ahead and include this number as the amount that will definitely come out of my account. So here I have my rent, car note, internet and cell, student loans. I have a few business expenses here as well. Those I highlight with my N89 Tumbo so I can separate those out at the end of the year. But this list is essentially any bills that have a fixed amount that I pay each month. Below that is my section for debt, and for me, this is where I include debt that I'm paying off, not debt that I'm paying on. You can list both under here if you want, but for me, I really want it to break out long-term or fixed debt from my short-term. So for example, you'll notice my car note and student loans are under fixed expenses instead of debt. Since those are long-term debts that I pay a set amount on each month, I don't include those at the bottom because I'm including those in my set budget. In my debt section, I only list purchases that I'm paying off. So here I have my Citibank card, and this is what I owe for my washer and dryer purchase. Since that's a purchase I'm paying off as soon as possible, I don't budget for it in the same way as my fixed expenses. There is no set amount. I just pay what I can until it's paid off. This is also where my medical bills are going to be. I was in the hospital a couple months ago and I've had a ton of scans and follow-up tests and things. I do have a space for medical in my sinking funds, but I exhausted that amount after one surgery and a couple CT scans. Even with insurance, I owe thousands of dollars. So once all of those bills come in, I'll put those that have a really high balance down here and work on paying those off as soon as I'm able to. You can also put credit cards here, which I do from time to time. I try not to carry a balance on my credit card so I'm not stuck paying interest, but if there is a situation where I need to, I'll list those at the bottom here as well. I'm planning on creating a separate comprehensive debt tracker that'll have space for interest rates, principals, payoff date, and more, but I'll let y'all know over on Instagram once that's up and available. Flipping over to the back, you have my variable expenses. Unlike my fixed, these are expenses that change from month to month and the first place I go to when I need to cut back on how much I'm spending. I do have a few bills here like electricity and water and other necessary buys like gas and Luna's food and litter, but the majority of categories here are things that are 100% within my control that I can adjust if I need to. So I have groceries, my eating out budget, personal, stationery, any shopping or miscellaneous purchases, all of that is listed here. I'll also change up what areas I'm budgeting for if I need to as well. So for example, I have home on here for now because I moved recently and there's home related purchases that I'll be buying for the next couple of months. But in March or so, I'll likely remove this as a category since I won't really be buying a whole lot for the house. My amounts will also fluctuate a lot. If I know I'm going to the office more so that month, my gas budget will increase, or if there's a month with a lot of birthdays or something, my gifting budget will increase that month. Unlike the first page where my budgeted column stays the same each month, I don't budget for my variable expenses until the week or so before the new month. That way, I'll know what I have going on schedule-wise for the next month and how much to allocate for each category. Below that, I have my savings, and this is my general savings, which is separate from my sinking funds. This doesn't have a designated purpose, and I don't spend it. $50 from each paycheck goes directly into this account, so that's $100 a month, and this essentially just sits here as a just in case or rainy day fund. Then at the bottom is my summary section, and here I have this table where I list my totals for the month, and on the right side, I have a checkbox to write out whether I was over or under budget, and then 5 stars to rate how I did for the month. Usually I print out the cover page for each month in advance since my sinking fund categories don't really change, and that way if there's anything I need to make note of ahead of time, I can list it here in the notes, and then a few days before the next month, I'll make any edits to my budget overview sections in Adobe and print that. Right now, these are available as a freebie in A5, HP Classic, and personal size. I'm working on adding other sizes, but feel free to DM me or shoot me an email if there's a specific size you need. Next is my expense tracker. This is the same glass plastic divider as my monthlies, but this is a side tabbed version. These come blank, but I just used a label maker to tag them. So first is my expense cover page. I made this myself, and I just have one of my favorite quotes by Maya Angelou at the bottom here. It says, "You can only become truly accomplished at something you love. Don't make money your goal. Instead, pursue the things you love doing and then do them so well that people can't take their eyes off you." It's a fantastic way to remember that money is important and it makes the world go round, but it doesn't hold nearly as much weight long term as the opportunity to live your dreams and do what truly makes you happy. Flipping over, similar to last year, I have my expense tracker key for 2025. My categories are pretty much the same as last year. I'm using transparent stickers by Daisy Papers to mark expenses and my mild liners to categorize them. This blue dot sticker is for reimbursable expenses, so this would be for things like parking, travel, purchases for team events, and other charges that my job reimburses me for. The green dot sticker is for anything I pay with cash or check, so those are few and far between. And then I have 2 corner stickers stickers. The toffee color is what I use to mark any expense that's coming out of a sinking fund, and the taupe is anything that's a business expense. This is what the full sheets look like, but I like to cut these down so they fit in my lines, which is why these end up all choppy. These are the 6 categories I'm paying close attention to for the year. I did add one more for 2025, which is groceries, and these are just the ones that I highlight so I can see at a glance how much I'm spending in each category. You can't really see for January, but looking back at 2024, you can see there were a couple of months where there's a lot of green, so I ate out quite a bit. Since I was over budget 5 months out of the year last year, I decided to highlight groceries this year in hopes to really start eating in more and sort of balance the scales between these two. The other areas I'm highlighting outside of groceries and eating out are personal, allowance, which is anything fun or entertainment related, stationery, home purchases, and then miscellaneous buys, which is anything that doesn't fit into any of my budgeting categories. Then you move into my expense log, and same as my budget overview, these are available for download in the resource library. This is where I log all of my daily expenses, credits, and refunds that aren't a bill, debt payment, or fixed expense. Those payments I log directly on my overview spread. That way I'm not duplicating things. Here, I just have a column to list the date, the item, or whatever it is you purchased, a column to categorize your purchase, an amounts column with one column for debits and one for credits, and then a narrow column at the end to check off if you've logged that expense in your budget overview. I've been using this tracker for a few years now, and it's helped me stay on track with my finances so much easier, especially color coding. I don't have too many expenses for January yet, obviously, but one of my main focal points this year is to build back up my medical sinking fund. I really want to have a nice buffer moving forward, so if an emergency happens again, I can have plenty stored away just in case. One thing to note that I got a few questions on is what I charge to a sinking fund and what comes out of my regular budget. Medical is a good example of that. I have a medical sinking fund that's for any type of emergency or annual appointments. So if I have to get another CAT scan or I need x-rays or surgery or something, that comes out of my sinking fund. So do things like dentist and eye appointments, checkups, those things are all included in my medical sinking fund. Things like allergy meds, cold medicine, band-aids, ice packs, and other like day-to-day medical related purchases I group with my groceries and household items. Similarly with Luna, her sinking fund is for her vet appointments or any emergencies that may pop up, but her day-to-day things like toys, litter, and food don't come out of her sinking fund, but instead that comes out of her $60 a month budget. Once the month is over, I go through and total up each category, fill in my variable expenses, record any deductions from my sinking funds, and then I review my budget and prep for the upcoming months. The last section is my resources section, and this is where I list logins and certain account info. I have my cover page with a quote by Earl Nightingale that says, "All you need is the plan, the roadmap, and the courage to press on to your destination." Another one of my favorite quotes, and then flipping over, these are the inserts I plan on using this year. These are to-do list inserts that came in the last Infinite Lotus subbox, but I realized they would be perfect to use to list account information that I plan on logging here. I'm not going to list banking or other super sensitive info here just for security purposes in case this ever gets lost, but I do plan on putting certain financial info here, like stuff related to my student loans, utility company contacts, the credit bureaus, and things like that. And then moving to the back, I have this little folder here by Plan and Stow where I keep my stickers. This is a dashboard by Cloth and Paper that says your only limit is your mind. This is a really, really old dashboard, but I thought the dark green font would look nice against the green of the agenda. On the back, I just have some sticky notes and page flags, and then this top pocket is where I keep the receipts that I may need to break out into separate categories. Last is this back slip pocket, and I just have some medical bills in here that I'm still waiting to hear back from the insurance on, and I keep these in here so I don't forget about them. This is the same pen I use in all my planners. It's the Uni 1 gel pen. It has a 0.38 millimeter tip, and that is everything in my budget planner for 2025. I'm really happy with my setup this year, especially since moving it from my main agenda to its own. Having a dedicated budget planner makes it easier to keep everything together and helps me stay on top of what's upcoming without having to worry about running out of space. Lastly, I do want to say a huge thank you to everyone who's recommended budgeting apps for me to try. I was a loyal Mint user and I've been struggling trying to find a replacement. I've gotten a lot of good recommendations, so hopefully I'll land on one soon. I love having a budget agenda, but having a budget app is super helpful for quick checking on the go, and it's the best way to see trends from month to month or year to year. So using both methods is definitely my go-to. Budgeting is really personal and it can change a lot depending on your financial situation and responsibilities. Hopefully, my budget bundle and expense tracker inserts can help. But if you have any questions in general or have questions about how to use these inserts, shoot me an email or DM and I'll be happy to help. And that is it, you guys. If you found this video helpful and you want to see more planning and organizational content, please hit that like button and subscribe. It really helps my channel out a lot. My business planner setup is coming soon, so if you want to see a walkthrough of that, make sure to hit that notification bell so you get a ping once it's uploaded. Also, don't forget to follow me over on Instagram for more planner tips and inspo, sending positive vibes your way. Until next time, stay safe and have a wonderful rest of your day.